One day, a barber named John wanted a holiday to take his family to the market. However, the owner of the shop refused. Then, when a customer with a dog came to the shop, the owner permitted John to take a break the next day if he cut the hair of all the customers that day. Fast forward to the next day, John was buying a toy for his 2-year-old little girl from a shop just opposite their home across the street while his wife watched him. Suddenly, a truck lost control and crashed into their house. Fast forward 16 years. John now has his own barbershop and a house of his own. He lives there with his little girl and sends her to a very good school. His daughter excels in sports and regularly competes. She has a very supportive teacher who helps her throughout all her sporting events. She tells everyone that she lives with her father and Lakshmi. Everyone thinks Lakshmi is her mother, but it is later revealed that Lakshmi is a dustbin. People ask why she keeps a dustbin at home like a family member, and it is revealed that this dustbin saved her when the truck crashed into their house years ago. One day, the principal of her school accuses her of bringing drugs to school, but it is later revealed that an idiot boy brought the drugs. After learning this, John tells the principal to apologize to his daughter, but the principal refuses. John, in a fit of rage, turns into a Hulk-like figure and starts breaking the pillars of the school. Finally, the principal apologizes, showing how much John loves his daughter. A big sporting event is coming up, and John's daughter wants to participate. Her teacher supports her, and finally, John allows her to go. John is worried because it is the first time he is letting his daughter go to such a distant place alone. But trusting the teacher and the school, he sends her to achieve her dreams. Then suddenly, John wakes up because a snake passes by him and something falls upon him. He sees that everything is broken in his house. He can't remember anything or what happened. Elsewhere, a big fat man goes to a garage and beats everyone up because he had given his car for servicing, but it was not serviced properly and had moved many miles in one night. The garage owner finally tells him who serviced his car, and he beats the guy named Gary, thinking that Gary had done something with his car or taken it somewhere unknowingly. John sees all this and follows the man from the garage. The man from the garage knows he is being followed and leads John into an empty warehouse. There, the man from the garage tries to beat up John and even kill him, but John, turning into a Hulk-like figure again, kills all of them. Before killing the man from the garage, John asks him who was with him. In utter pain, the man reveals that the other man is in the police station of John's area. After that, John nearly decapitates the man from the garage. Elsewhere, 2 men are robbing a house and even cooking and eating chicken in the house after robbing it. They blow up the whole house. The main man out of the 2 goes home, where it is revealed that he has a loving and caring family with a daughter and a wife who know nothing about his crimes. It is also revealed that Lakshmi is actually in their home. The robber decides to celebrate his daughter's birthday in a grand way. He orders expensive jewelry for her and plans to get the delivery on the day of her birthday. He goes to take the delivery and then goes to a barber shop to get cleaned up. At this point, it is revealed that the story of the robber is not a present-day story, but a flashback to the day when John asked his boss for a holiday. The barber shop the robber goes to is the same one where John worked at the beginning of the story. After the robber sits down for a haircut, John starts to use the trimmer, but realizes there is no battery. He goes out to buy a battery. Meanwhile, the robber sees on television that 2 men are being pursued by the police for robbing houses and killing people. The robber gets nervous and calls his partner, who tells him not to worry, as they have left no evidence behind. At this point, the robber sees John standing behind him and suspects that John might have overheard his conversation. After cutting the robber's hair, the robber returns home but is worried that John might have heard everything he said. Back at the barbershop, John sees that the robber has left the jewelry on the table. Knowing where the birthday celebration is happening, John decides to return the jewelry. Genuinely, John had not heard anything the robber said on the phone. John goes to return the jewelry, but just as he reaches the robber's house, the police coincidentally arrive and forcibly arrest the robber. The robber thinks that John tipped off the police. The robber's wife and daughter are devastated as they knew nothing about his criminal activities. The robber is taken to jail, and John, being an introvert, couldn't return the jewelry at that moment due to the tragedy unfolding in the robber's home. Returning to the present, the police decide to create a duplicate dustbin and return it to John, framing someone for the robbery. They believe that whoever is framed will eventually get out because the punishment for robbing a dustbin would be minimal. They team up with a police informer named Timothy. Timothy helps them duplicate the dustbin, and finally, it is time to frame someone for the robbery. However, no one is willing to get framed for robbing a dustbin, as it would damage their reputation. Finally, Timothy agrees to be framed if the police pay him some money and promise that he will get bail in no time. John still doesn't know the motive behind the robbery. The police tell Timothy to call John once again and ask him to narrate the whole story so that Timothy can repeat it when he has to confess. When John narrates the story, it is revealed in flashbacks that the dustbin was never stolen. John explains what actually happened that day. His daughter had returned from her sports camp, and 3 men were waiting at the house. John was late that day because he had to buy sneakers for his daughter. The 3 men waiting were the robber from the past, who thought John had tipped off the police, the guy from the garage who was now his partner, and surprisingly, the 3rd man was the police informer, Timothy. John narrates the whole story, replacing his daughter with the dustbin. The men did many bad things to his daughter, but did not kill her because the robber wanted John and his daughter to suffer throughout their lives. Listening to this, Timothy realizes that John is the same man and gets scared, making excuses not to get framed. However, the main police officer tells him that he has already agreed and now has to go through with it. Returning to the past, on the day when bad things happened to John's daughter, after the 3 men left, John reached the house and found his daughter in critical condition. He took her to the hospital, bringing Lakshmi along, believing that Lakshmi would always protect and heal her. John then promised himself that he would bring to justice whoever did this to his daughter. The next day, after John narrated the whole story, the police bring Timothy to John's house and tell him to narrate what happened. As Timothy starts narrating, John touches Timothy's back and feels a bulge. John's daughter had told him that one of the men had a bulge on their back. John realizes that Timothy is one of the men who harmed his daughter. He tells the police to leave Timothy because he wants to bring him to justice himself, knowing that if Timothy gets arrested, he could get bail in no time. The police ask if John is sure he wants to leave Timothy. John says yes. The police then reveal that they had investigated on their own, reached the hospital where John's daughter was admitted, and knew the whole story. They were also looking for the 3 men and had confirmed that one of them was Timothy. So they brought Timothy directly to John. The police then leave the house, allowing John to do whatever he wants with Timothy. John nearly decapitates Timothy, and then investigates further to get the address of the 3rd man, the robber. John reaches the place where the robber is and is surprised to see him. Why he is surprised will be revealed later. John fights with the robber and beats him up. The robber tells John that he can beat him up or kill him, but it won't change the fact that his daughter's life is ruined. John then brings his daughter to the robber, as she had asked to meet the man who did this to her, and ask him why he tried to ruin her life. John and his daughter's teacher bring her to the robber. She looks at him and tells him, "I forgive you, but if I wanted, my father could kill you right here and right now. But I forgive you because I pity you. You want money, right? Take all this," John's daughter says, handing the robber a bag filled with jewelry. The robber opens the bag and sees familiar jewelry, the same jewelry he had bought for his own daughter years ago for her birthday, the same birthday when he got arrested. As John's daughter walks out of the building, the robber notices a mark on her neck, the same mark his own daughter had when she was a child. Then, like a lightning strike, he realizes that the girl he thought was John's daughter is actually his own daughter.